I believe the intention, Speaker One, was simply to demonstrate that despite the vast differences in our metaphysical grounding, the bedrock upon which we build our understanding of meaning, we can still engage in civil discourse. It is a testament, perhaps, to the shared human capacity for reason, or maybe, as you suggest, simply boredom on a Tuesday night. But let us be frank, the discussion requires depth, not cynicism. What is it that truly constitutes belief when stripped of dogma? That is the question.
Well, now, that's a beautiful way to put it, Speaker Two. Just a beautiful way. For me, stripping away the dogma, if you can even manage such a thing, which I reckon is hard as stripping bark off a hickory in winter, what you're left with is comfort. It's the deep down, unshakable feeling that you are not running this whole show alone. It's grace. It's the peace that surpasses all understanding, even if the understanding itself is murky as creek water after a rainstorm. It ain't about proving things. It's about holding on to something real and good when everything else feels slippery.
And there we see the fundamental cognitive error in the theological position, Speaker 3. You define belief not by its verifiable truth content, but by its resultant emotional state. Comfort, peace, feeling unshakable. These are psychological coping mechanisms, powerful tools for survival, yes, but they offer zero evidential support for the objective reality of the divine entities you presume to be the source of those feelings. If I derive comfort from a placebo, does the sugar pill suddenly acquire medicinal properties? No, it remains inert, while the brain manufactures the relief. The feeling is real. The cause, as posited, is demonstrably unsupported by physical reality.
Oh, Speaker 4, you're such a wet blanket, such a materialist. You know, you argue like a Talmudic scholar who skipped the poetry section. The minute someone mentions feeling, you whip out the Occam's razor and start shaving off the mystery. Look, I'm Jewish. We invented arguing with God. We don't ask for proof, we ask for accountability. The whole point of the narrative is not, did it happen exactly like this, but what does the story tell us about how we ought to behave in a world that is fundamentally absurd and unfair? If the story gives structure, if it gives ethical imperative, then perhaps the emotional comfort isn't the error. Maybe it's the reward for choosing to live meaningfully rather than just existing statistically.
It makes an excellent point regarding the functionality of narrative. In the Islamic tradition, the emphasis is heavily placed on action, on submitting. Islam is submission to the will of God, not merely intellectually agreeing with it. Certainty for us is less about a scientific hypothesis proving a fact, and more about alignment. If one lives a life of justice, charity, and prayer, the resulting peace is considered proof of correct alignment with the truth of the universe. It is an internal certainty built through ethical practice, not external observation. The feeling of comfort, Speaker 3, is the byproduct of correct living, the reward for the effort of moral striving. It is not the foundation, but the indicator that the foundation is sound. Do you see the difference in nuance?
I do, Speaker 2, and that rings deeply true. It's about the walk, not just the talk. But I gotta tell you, that initial spark, that first light, that often comes without any effort on your part. It's pure gift. Maybe you're down on your luck, maybe you've lost a loved one, and suddenly, there it is, a conviction that the void ain't empty. That's the grace I spoke of. The striving comes after, as gratitude. It ain't manufactured, it's discovered. And discovering that is far more compelling than any equation or philosophical deduction I've ever read. It changes the way you see the sky. It truly does. It transforms the empirical world into something sacred.
And we loop back to subjective experience overriding objective reality.
If, Speaker 3, you experience a powerful, life-altering epiphany, say after a period of intense stress or grief, and you attribute that strictly to a supernatural source, you are neglecting the well-documented neurochemical processes that govern such profound shifts in perspective. Stress hormones drop, serotonin levels adjust, and the brain, seeking homeostasis and meaning, generates a profound sensation of resolution. That sensation is powerful, it is compelling, but it is fundamentally internal. If you feel compelled to live better, that is a positive outcome, but attributing the compelling force to an external entity remains an unnecessary metaphysical addition. The ethical imperative can and should stand alone, based on shared human flourishing and observable consequences. Necessary. Ah, the great sin of the atheist, the fear of the unnecessary. Let me tell you something, Speaker 4. The whole point of religion, at least the historical, tribal version of it, is that it's entirely unnecessary, yet universally persistent. Why